Happy Friday, guys. I was a little late on this live. Thanks for being here, guys. We're going to get started. Although I've got to play a little bit I'm not going to play the whole song, but I've got to play a little bit of song for the passing of the great late Meatloaf. And I would do anything for love. I'd roll my back to hell and back. And I would do anything for love. I never lie, and that's a fact. But I'll never forget. How does that go? Hey, rest in peace to the mighty Meatloaf. It is, what's funny is I've been talking about Meatloaf today, and a lot of people have never heard of Meatloaf. So yeah, if this is your hey, thank you for the haircut compliment there, my friend. Today we're going to be talking about the language of breath. We're going to be talking about vibration, Wim Hof method. So yeah, I got it trimmed, got a little trim, here. So, Meatloaf died. And so this is, it's like, why would Jesse care so much? Well, I'll tell you why I care so much. And then we're going to get into breath work. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to throw it in there. We're going to have a fun time. It is Friday. It is, January 21st, and I've got a lot of cool things to tell you guys about. But first, a small anecdote from my life. It was circa like 2010, somewhere around 2010. I was in graduate school in 2010, and my roommate and I were, poor graduate students. Like some people are like, well, you were in graduate school, you couldn't have been that poor, but we were literally living off of, fortunately we had gotten jobs as teacher's assistants. So we were teaching these classes and getting paid like a pittance, like a very small amount. That's what we were living off of. So we had to be very selective about how we had fun on the weekends. So we went to like dive bars, just absolute dive bars. And my friend was really amazing martial artist. So I was always feeling pretty confident. I was like, all right, walking in with him. This is back actually before I was the muscular freak that you see before you. But so I always felt like, okay, we'll go into a dive bar and it'll at least be safe because I got my buddy. He can do karate or whatever he does. And anyway, so we go in there and there's karaoke going on. And maybe I had a few beers and I decided I was going to go and sing Meatloaf. I would do. And so, I went up there and I forgot that it's like a damn half-hour song and there's two parts. So after Meatloaf waxes poetic forever about how he would do anything for love, but he won't do that. I mean, it takes forever for that part. That the song goes on, and I was like, geez, I'm getting to where I need my next beer, guys. And then I realized, okay, it's not even over yet. There's a woman's part. And so I see that on the karaoke screen that it was gonna, okay, it's a woman's part. So like a champ, I was like, okay, I guess I'm in this. So I sang the woman's part like a champion. And my future wife was in the audience that day. I didn't know it yet, but the woman that I would eventually marry was witnessing this take place. And it probably made her fall in love with me, right? How can you not fall in love with a guy who's singing Meatloaf poorly at a karaoke bar, like a dive karaoke bar? So that song. And the thing is, actually, my wife this morning, she told me, hey, got terrible news. Meatloaf died. And so we mourned in our own special way. You can have a whole new respect for her, I don't know if it's a thing to respect. maybe we should. Maybe we should judge her harshly for falling in love with me after I committed such an atrocity to go up and sing Meatloaf's "I Would Do Anything for Love." I mean, I nailed it. Don't get me wrong, I nailed it. And if I do karaoke, I'm just saying, some people go up there and they try to sing really well, and obviously I wasn't trying to sing poorly, but I get into the dancing part, I get into all that. So, so that's just a little FYI or FYI. So anyway, Armstrong, nice to have you here, my friend. Volume. Okay, volume. Well, let me see if I can turn up my volume. Turn up the volume. Here we go. Check. No, that's not helping. That's not helping. Maybe volume. Check. How are we doing? We doing okay with volume? Let me know. Let's see here. Check. Is the volume's okay, right? Let me know. Rusty, Armstrong. I do have volume, some volume, right? Either that or no one can hear me ask. I'm okay. All right. I'm okay. Good. All right. Let me do a little sound check. Check. All right. Sounding good. So, hey, guys, I want to thank everybody in the Patreon club. And the Patreon club is growing right now. And I'm really excited about that. The Patreon club is growing. And there is about, you lag about 15 seconds. I gotcha. Now everybody's telling me I've got some volume. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate that. Let's see. Let's see. Papa, I was about to compile an email, but live is better. Dive further on the difference on the name change from 6-week course to language of breath besides the name changes. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, so let's talk about this language of breath thing. So I did release a language of breath, like kind of a promo recently. And if you didn't catch that, you can check it out on my channel. But let's talk about this. So guys, I am a lifelong learner. I just got off work, and then I threw on my Led Zeppelin shirt, and I decided, okay, I'm going to talk to you guys. I'm a university professor, and I'm a really curious person. So when it comes down to it, I'm nerding out all the time. And when it comes to breath work, I've been on this breathwork journey now since 2016. And I've learned from a lot of different masters. I am currently being mentored by other mentors, and I'm constantly developing my own craft and my own style. And so what I'm trying to do here is basically is coalesce everything that I've learned and everything that I know about breathwork into my own style, right? My own style of teaching breathwork, because ultimately breathwork, there's a lot of breathwork out there, and you can find a bunch of techniques, but understanding the underpinnings of how everything works, once you understand how it works and how you work, right? Because there's so often there's a misconnection between, okay, I'm going to learn these techniques and the technique is going to do this thing, right? And on one level, on a very fundamental level, I can see where that's a way we understand breathwork techniques, okay? But ultimately, ultimately what I'm trying to do when it comes to the language of breath, okay? So I'm going to be training breath workers. So I'm going to be offering, for those of you guys who are looking to make this passion into a profession, just like I did, I would love to teach. I'm only going to accept people that I really want to work with, because I'm not looking for a bunch of underlings. I'm looking for people that really are serious about, sharing breath work, and people who I want to work with. Basically, I had to coalesce a style and a method of teaching. So the language of breath looks at the physiology and our psychology, and it works to create a symbiotic relationship between the two things. So often we look at breath work as this way to control our body, control your nervous system, control your autonomic nervous system. And it treats the autonomic nervous system as if it's a bad thing almost, right? But the autonomic nervous system is you. And it is a very primal part of you that is trying to do the right thing, is trying to do things for you that will keep you alive. It loves you. Your physiological self loves you. And it is you. Like literally, this is Jesse, right? This is me. This is me. And there's different aspects of the self. But what we do when we practice breath work, and this is my course, the language of breath course. This is also my style that I'm trademarking as my style of teaching and my style of putting breath together. We are participating in a conversation and we're participating in communication. And it cannot just, I mean, so much of breath work that I see out there is just focused on telling, right? Tell the body what to do, tell the body what to do. And rather than listening to what is the physiology trying to do? And why is it that's, what's behind that? Because your physiology, you don't always want to try to tell the physiology what to, there are times whenever it's like, hey, you're doing the right thing. Let's work with that. Or let's just adjust a little bit. So, and not to mention, if you don't understand what your physiology has to say to you, you'll never know if it is listening to what you're saying. This is where I know for a fact, guys, I know the way I'm talking about right now might sound a little confusing. It might sound like, oh, Jesse's just kind of navel gazing and philosophizing about breath work. This is what I do all the time. I'm constantly trying to I'm digging deeper into this thing that I absolutely love and that I've dedicated myself to. And I'm trying to make it into something that can be shared with everybody. And then I want everyone to have the best and deepest experience. So this means a lot of study, but this means a lot of time just brainstorming about what it is that is at the foundation, at the core of breath work. And so when we really think about what is at the core of breath work, it's not just breathing in and out. It's not just getting high, right? I think so much of breath work, and this is so many people are get into it because of the high. That's what I got into it for, right? I think most people start with Wim Hof method, and that's what get high on your own supply, right? And I'm not saying that it's bad to feel good, but there is a thing that is called, basically what happens is whenever we focus on that, we are doing the same thing that we were doing before. We're ignoring the real physiological things that happen in the body. And we're just trusting that this thing is going to do the thing that we think it's going to do, as opposed to playing an active role in listening and speaking back and forth. So I see you've made a few more comments, Papa Geek. I'm going to read those here in a second, but that's kind of the reason why I've changed the name from the 6-week breath mastery course. Plus the new course, the language of breath course, is much more full. And I teach a lot of new things that I didn't teach in the 6-week breath mastery course. So some of you guys have already taken it. I highly recommend, if you haven't, definitely jump on the, on the breath master, or the language of breath. It starts on February 3rd, and we meet every week for 2 hours, and I teach you the language of breath. So I literally teach you how to listen and how to speak to yourself and how to take part in that conversation, and how to, instead of trying to control, how to work with your physiology, with your breath. And yes, it does mean that you need to be able to send and receive signals effectively. And that means you need to know, are those signals that you're sending with the breath, with your positioning, with your posture, are you sending those signals, and are they being received? And this is where we a lot of times want to make ourselves into these clones and okay, I am a robot just like everybody else. And actually our physiological self, it's not the same as everybody else. And so this is part of the lessons that we start to learn in the language of breath program. So anyway, let's see. You said a few other things. So he's about to compile that. Second language speaker gets the right. You're a native English speaker. You can't. Let's see. Papa Geek says, I understand the concept, but I'd like to hear it from you in this way. Okay, yeah, for sure. I hope that made sense, Papa Geek. And you can definitely follow up with me on that later. Papa Geek, you are in the Patreon club, and actually, hey, I owe you a beer, right? So yeah, you can always follow up with me on that anytime. Hey, Guy, nice to have you here, my friend. Let's see. Sounds like the idea is mastering a language that the body speaks. Absolutely, Eric. You're absolutely right. And the thing is, our bodies don't speak English. Our bodies, or whatever language is your native language, and so you can sit there and you can think like whatever, you can do positive affirmations, and I think that's a good thing, right? There are psychological benefits to we really do need to watch our self-talk. But this is different. Okay. So that is how we manage our psychology, is through positive self-talk and monitoring our self-talk, because it can be destructive, it can be positive. And actually, our disconnection with our physiology oftentimes leads to negative self-talk, because we think about our bodies as like this fleshy robot that, man, it sucks, man, I can't get it to do the thing I want it to do. And there are some things that you're not going to be able to get your body to do. And I know some people will be like, well, I can make my body do anything I want it to do. Well, that's awesome. I hope you can. But I've tried to train in some of these techniques, and believe me, I have been in almost joining cults to try to figure out. And I'm not saying they were actual like, hey, we're a cult, you should join us. But I got into these trainings, and I don't want to talk about like what these places were, people were called. Especially one of them was like, whoa, this is a cult, I want to get out of here. But they promised certain techniques that would do certain things. And then I was like, I want to figure this thing out. I want to know how to direct healing energy to my body through nothing more than breath and conscious thinking. And I want to be able to, I've really tried. I've really tried here. And so what I've done with language of breath is I've coalesced everything that I can back up scientifically and through my own experience and the experience of my clients that I've had for years now. And of course, this is the stuff that I teach to the military, to police, to recovering drug addicts, CEOs, moms, dads, college kids, you name it, because we all, and of course, athletes and all those other anybody that's looking to become more present, more focused, be able to sleep better, digest better, love their family better. That's the thing we oftentimes recognize, is the fact that sometimes if I'm being an asshole, it's not because I'm an asshole. It's because I'm responding to the physiological signals that my physiology is sending me, because it thinks it's in a situation where it's not. And that creates a paradigm that I'm looking through the lens of, and I'm going to judge other people, or maybe I'll just not be as nice as I could be to my wife or kids or friends. And if I can learn to become aware, oh, wow, okay, this is the language of my body. And you can do this without even learning all of the system of language of breath, like simply becoming aware, right? And of course, if you've taken any class with me, if you've ever been to a workshop with me, you know, and of course, the number one tenet. So I decided to write the tenets, right? The rules of language of breath. And that is my thing. And the number one is, and some of you guys already know it, that awareness is the foundation of all positive change. So simply becoming aware, and you can do this right now. You don't even have to take the course. Here's a little sample of the course, okay? But we go deeper. In the course, we go a lot deeper. But ultimately, if we can become aware, if we understand the reason I feel the way I feel is because my physiological self believes it's in X situation. That's huge. that's life changing. Just knowing that, just understanding that my awareness of the present moment informs everything that I do. It creates the paradigm from which every decision I make is made. So developing that awareness is incredibly important. And it's much different than just trusting that if I do this one routine every day, I'm going to have whatever perfect life. Because I think so oftentimes, and this is the thing where I am so happy that people are getting into breath work. I'm so happy that like it's becoming more and more popular. But I want to point out that, especially if you really want to use it and really master how it works, you have to understand that it's bigger than just a routine. Yes, there can be routines, and ultimately, when you take the Language of Breath course, you will develop your own breathwork practice. But a breathwork practice is not necessarily a rote thing. So a breathwork practice does not necessarily mean I wake up and I always do this, and then I always do that, and I always do this, and I always do that. A breathwork practice has more to do with listening and receiving and sending and having that relationship with yourself. So that's the Language of Breath is focused on that, and really becoming aware of how that relationship works. And of course, I do teach a lot of techniques. I do teach exercises to enhance breath work. Yes, I do teach you how to hold your breath longer. I teach you how to combine techniques to get added benefits. So the 6-week breath mastery course, I teach if you take the Language of Breath, you get everything that I taught in the 6-week breath mastery course, plus everything that I've learned, in teaching. And I'm just trying to make it I'm always trying to make it better. And I believe that Language of Breath, this is the direction that I'm going. So I'm just going to read some comments, but that's, rather than to rant forever, Papa Geek, I need a beer. Maybe that's what it is. I need a beer. Let's see here. Let's see here. Silo Crypto, I think is how I would pronounce your name. What are your favorite ways of altering consciousness, like chemically, breath work, drums, or something else? Oh, hey, that's a cool question. So breath work, I mean, that would be my go-to for any time I'm going to alter my conscious state. I don't really use chemicals to do that anymore. I used to. And so in my youth, I did a lot of psychedelics. So I mostly LSD and psilocybin mushrooms. And so I did that a lot in my early 20s, actually in my late teens, I did a lot of that. And it wasn't just the mindless, party style. I was genuinely seeking, and this was before the concept of, plant medicine had made it into the mainstream. And of course, we didn't even have the internet for a lot of this, or at least not much of the internet. So where I lived, no one had heard of plant medicine, but I mean, we had heard of, but there's a certain profundity, to these experiences. And of course, we had heard of, native tribes and indigenous peoples using psychedelics. So I did a lot of that, but then I haven't really felt the need, and I really don't feel the need to do that anymore. So I'll use breath work, and that's primarily my go-to. And ultimately, you don't need anything else, in my opinion. I don't need anything else. I should say it that way. I don't even need music. I can be in total silence, and through breath work, I can find whatever state that I need to be in to have a profound experience, or whatever experience that I actually should be having. So I do teach altered state breath work in the Language of Breath course, and I guide you through an altered state experience. I call it I do microdosing in the online course, just because I want to be present with a person whenever I take them super, super, super deep. But I do give a person a kind of a microdose of an altered state. And if for those of you guys who have taken the 6-week breath mastery course, you can vouch for that. Papa Geek says, I did the 6-week breath mastery course. I've done a lot around yoga and Wim Hof method. the 6-week breath mastery course resonated with me in a different level. Thank you. Thank you. What you did hit the sweet spot. Oh, awesome. Follow up. I'll follow up on this later. Awesome. Well, ultimately, what I have found is I've dug really deep into a lot of different traditions and a lot of different techniques, and I've done a lot of, and you got to remember, every single day I'm constantly experimenting because I'm such a weird nerd like that. And I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging at all. It's almost, it's, if it were not something so healthy and so profoundly good for my psychological state, it would be a bad thing. And in fact, for much of my life, I would have neuroses and I would have obsessions about things that were unhealthy. And so I got to say one thing. I will say one thing. Now, you may notice that, okay, I was playing one of these guitars. That's why this one's not there. But I've got my electric again. And I've been doing vibration lately. I've been digging really deep into vibration, and I have awakened something within me. I am making music again, and it is fantastic. So this is something that, no matter where you are on your breathwork journey, no matter where you are, there's always a way to learn about yourself more, and there's always a way to become more at peace with who you are. And this is something that, it's not just one technique that's going to do it. It's not just one thing. There's a wholeness that, if a person just has their favorite app or just one technique or whatever, that you're missing out on if you don't fully understand the fullness of how how it all works and how it all can work together. And so that's what I teach in the breath mastery, or in the it used to be called the 6-week breath mastery course. Now it's called the language of breath, and it is updated. So we will be learning things that I did not teach in the 6-week breath mastery course. So, okay. Eric, yes, I think it's Eric. Yeah, Eric, as a therapist, was quoted saying, "Your body doesn't know the difference between what you're thinking and the actual situation." Exactly. That oftentimes we can, and the thing is, I think we all intuitively understand this to a degree, because we can think a thought and we can cause our heart rate to go sky high, or you can believe you're in a situation psychologically, and it puts you in a physiological situation, and vice versa. So there's a lot there. Eric, vibration, yeah. Well, stick around on this channel. So I am in the process of learning vibration under the current lineage holder. This is a tradition of breathwork that is next level, and I'm going to be making a lot of, you're going to see a lot of vibration on this channel, or at least I'm going to be talking a lot about vibration on this channel. Vibration is a style of meditation that includes breath work, and it can be incredibly profound. And so I've been studying under Paul Hughes, and I'm incredibly excited about this. But I am in the process of my my teacher training, my final training, my master training, and so I'm going to be making a vibration video, specifically some videos on what it is, kind of explaining a little bit more about it. I'll be making that probably in the next 30 days on this channel. So yeah. There's so much goodness out there. And so, and I talk about, I talk about vibration in the Patreon club. So vibration has influenced my breathwork sessions in the Patreon club. So many of you guys have been doing vibration-esque sessions in the guided breathwork sessions in my Patreon club, and I keep getting good responses and reviews on those. So I think you're going to love vibration whenever I can teach you the actual vibration. GN asked the question: any openings left for Same Valley in February? Yes. So James and I will be doing another Wim Hof Method retreat in Sand Valley in Wisconsin. And this last one, guys, it was crazy. So we love doing Sand Valley because it's this beautiful resort. I mean, it is a 5-star resort. The food is fantastic. It was incredibly healthy food. It's that healthy food that's so delicious because it's made by these awesome chefs. So I was a big fan of that. But the location is perfect. There's these lakes. We dig holes in the lakes and do natural dips. But it got so cold that that it was actually unsafe having that big of a group to try to do natural dips on day 2. So we actually did cold air bathing, and it was amazing. We did snow angels. We're talking it was about 2 degrees Fahrenheit, and I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it is very far into the negatives. It is beyond, I mean, cold. It is very, very cold. It was windy, but it was sunny. And so we went out and we did cold air meditations. We did cold air dancing, and we did the horse stance in the cold air. It was fantastic. Negative 16 Celsius. It's cold. It was cold. Thank you, Papa Geek. So I mean, it was super, super cold, but in February, it'll probably still be incredibly cold as well. And I would highly recommend, if you can, coming out to it. I would say, I always love the fact that those 2 events are the first 2 retreats that I do in a year. James and I have been working together now for years, and it is just, I mean, it's just awesome. So James and I work together really well, and you'll get Wim Hof Method. You get a lot of other styles. We do some other styles of breath work. There's yoga. There's a nature hike, natural outdoor ice bathing in a frozen over lake. It is fantastic. So you can go to my website. Actually, no, you have to go to just go to sandvalley.com, and then you have to call. So you have to call them in order to do the booking, but it is worth it. It is very well worth it. And yeah, so right now I think we have, I don't know exactly how many seats we have left. I think we have like 5 or 6 more seats available. So you'll want to hop on that. And then yeah. And so, but yeah, so that'll be on, when is that? I'm going to look it up real quick. We start February 25th, 26th, and 27th. We'll finish up on the 27th, that Saturday, right around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock local time. And then that way you have plenty of time to take a flight home, or if you need to take a long drive or something like that. So anyway, guys, but I just wanted to pop in. This is a little bit later than the normal time that I like to do these YouTube lives. But I wanted to pop in and kind of give you an opportunity to kind of just chat and talk. If you have any questions, you can post them over there. Super chats are available. We're going to stick around for just another few minutes. But it is Friday, guys. And it's one of the things I look forward to every week is doing one of these lives, seeing, people's comments and seeing a lot of these familiar faces. Yeah, Rusty, you live in Vermont where it's quite cold. It is quite frigid up there. It's, right here, it's below freezing, but I think it's in the 20s Fahrenheit. So that's got to be like -2 or negative. Actually, I don't know what that would be. Here, we're going to find out. Okay. 20 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius.
20 degrees Fahrenheit is equivalent to -6.667 degrees Celsius.
So I'll round up on that, but yeah, it's quite cold, quite cold. All right, let's see here. Kara Luchism. I think you're asking, is Wim Hof Method a cult? I think that's what you're trying to ask. So no, Wim Hof Method is not something from the occult. There's no like belief structures necessarily with the method. So I mean, there's people from every different religion and background that practice Wim Hof method. Wim Hof has his own spiritual concepts. I mean, like the man, but that's just those are his opinions, and he can have his opinions. But you don't have to listen to anything he says. I mean, it's just literally the science backs up the method, and not a cult at all. There's no belief structure other than believing in yourself. You've got the strength to withstand the cold, and you can do the breath work, and you're worth it. So anyway, let's see here. That's a good point. Rusty. It can play into to whatever your belief structure is. So next month I'll be in. Speaking of Wim Hof, next month I will be in. Let's see, hang on a second. I will be in Nashville, Tennessee, on February 5th and February 6th. I'll be with the Iron Tamer Dave Whitley, and we're going to be doing 2 Wim Hof method workshops. We're going to be doing one with it'll be a Wim Hof method fundamentals class, and then the next day it'll be a Wim Hof method advanced Wim Hof method techniques class. That's where we're going to do power breathing, altered state, stuff like that. And then I'll be in Sand Valley on the 25th, 26th, and 27th in Wisconsin. So that'll be next month. Question came from Papa Geek. Did you collab with Dave? Yeah, I did. I did a collab. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, you didn't ask if I did. You said you did a collab with Dave. When are you collabing with Tim Vanderfleet? Oh, that's a great question. Actually, I was just talking to him right before this live started. And so I'll be probably, we're going to figure out some kind of a collab to do. That's a great, it's amazing. It's almost as if you knew. But me and Dave, Evolution of Dave, we did a few collabs now, and he's a lot of fun. And so Tim Vanderfleet, he and I actually just talked right before this, and so we're gonna try to put something together. Doing a collab with people in Europe, right? It's a lot of these YouTubers live in a major city, and they've got a lot of other people they can do a collab with in person. Our collabs, we have to get creative because we are on different continents. And so we have to get creative. Like, how are we going to put this together? How's it going to look? What are we even going to talk about? So I don't know if you guys saw me and Dave. Our first one was like, we did like this phone call type of routine, and it was going back and forth about, hey, basically taking responsibility for your actions. And then the last one we did was on his channel, and it was about the metaverse and how we can actually, we don't need the metaverse. We need to try to embrace our humanity rather than embracing, the technology that's out there. So Tim and I'm not sure what we're going to do. I would love for you guys to give us suggestions on what kind of a video Tim Vanderfleet and I can do. He and I are both, we have a lot in common in that he and I are both first generation Wim Hof method instructors. We've been in it for a long time. We do all kinds of different styles of breath work. He and I are both doing our own instructorship. So we're both, he's training instructors over in Europe. We're both doing our very first class, right? So I'm going to be training breath workers here in the United States to become breath workers and to work with me in a collective, so that it's not just you wearing my t-shirt, it's and being a little version of me. No, dude, I want you to be like the ultimate you if you're going to be a breath worker. But I want to teach people how, because the world needs breath workers now, and it is so hard to figure it out because everyone and this is getting a little, probably too much more than I should say, but there's a lot of competitiveness in the breathwork world. And even though there's a lot of peace and love and harmony, there's a lot of people that will want to edge you out. And so what I'm doing in the training program is I'm teaching people how to become breath workers so that they can stay in the business and do a good job. Hey, Vince, nice to see you, my friend. And Rusty is playing Minecraft. He likes, let's see, Papa Geek. Oh, he says, Tim and I should play Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft. I don't know if Tim has ever played Minecraft, but we could. It'd be probably fun to watch us try to play Minecraft. It would probably be like, I don't know if you guys have seen Conan O'Brien try to play video games. It's hilarious. You guys should do a Zoom call where you talk about what has happened from Wim Hof method breathwork to today. That could be cool. I think maybe, what we were talking about when we're about done with our conversation, we were thinking about just doing YouTube lives and then letting you guys ask us questions. So that could be a great question that the two of us could talk about. What is your opinion of Sadhguru? Sadhguru is one of those guys that half the time I really like what he has to say, and half the time I disagree with what he has to say. But I don't have to agree with a person to admire a person, right? So I respect the guy quite a bit. I don't always agree with everything he says. There are some things that I am like, whenever he says it, I'm like, dude, that is so right. That is so right. And then there's other things that whenever he says it, I'm like, I respect your opinion. I think he means well. And but sometimes I'm like, I don't really agree with you on that. So, and I would say out of everyone that I know that I really respect, that's going to be pretty much my response. Everyone that I absolutely respect is his or her own self. And that doesn't mean that they need to be a clone of me. I think sometimes oftentimes in this world that we live in, we look for versions of ourselves. And then we say, I really like that guy because that guy says what I'm thinking. And I don't feel like that's a requirement for my admiration. So I really like Sadhguru. I don't always agree with him, but sometimes I'm like, yeah, that's it. Great question. Bobby Geek, something is happening in the breathwork world. The Wim Hof method early adopter phase is soon over. My Instagram feed is all about ice baths and breathwork. There's a lot of that. And believe me, I mean, I still practice Wim Hof method every single day. I love it. I think there's a lot of growth happening in the breathwork world. And I think it really is an exciting time in the breathwork world right now. So, and as any time of growth, oftentimes you have some Wild West stuff that goes on, and some people are going to be dangerous and they're trying to get everybody's attention. Other people are going to try to edge other people out because they want the space. Just like any business, it can be harmonious and it can be cutthroat. And I have found that the best way forward is through collaboration and to find people that you like and you genuinely love to be around. That's why I work with James. That's why I work with Rob. That's why I work with Chuck. That's why I work with Chris. That's why I work with, that's why I want to collab with Tim, and I like collabing with Dave. When you find people that resonate with you and that are genuinely not concerned about, they're not worried about like, is he going to edge me out or any of that, then you've found people that are really worth the time. So, and those are people you want to really get yourself around. Let's see, Rusty, I actually legit want to collab with someone over hot wings. Yeah. Well, hey man, I like my wings, and use breathwork to calm your bodies down. Interesting. Oh my God. See, here's the thing. I love wings. I am a chicken wings kind of guy. I'm a Midwesterner. I love it. The thing is that if I get too spicy, I don't really like it. Like there's spicy that has flavor, and there's spicy that's just blistering your lips, and it's like just for the sake of being hot. So I would definitely do a hot ones. If they invited me, I would be on there. Kara Luchism, what's your opinion on Soma breath recommended by Wim? Is that what? I'm not sure what Wim recommends for Soma breath, but I'm familiar with Soma breath. I did a review on the 21-day Soma transformation. I did that a long time ago. Soma breath is basically, I mean, it's pranayama with, like personally, I think Niraj, who is the Soma guy, I really, it's a lot like the Sadhguru guy. I admire Niraj a lot. And actually, I am going to be in a festival, the Shift Breathwork Festival. I'm speaking in that festival. He's also speaking in that festival. It's next month, and it's the Shift Breathwork Festival. So if you'd like to see some awesome breathworkers speak, and I was honored to be invited to speak in that, like Dan Brule, a lot of the higher level guys. That's happening next month. And if you're on my emailing list at jessecoomer.com, I'll be emailing you guys more information about how you can get in on that. But yeah, Soma breath, I mean, I think it's good. I don't practice it myself, but then again, Soma breath is not, I mean, it's basically using pranayama, and there's things that I like about it. There's things I don't like about it. I am not, I'm not a law of attraction guy. No offense to those of you guys who are. And a lot of my friends that are law of attraction people say that I am a law of attraction person, but I just don't know it. So, hey, don't ruin everything. You know, if that's what I'm doing, apparently it's working. So let's not ruin anything. We don't have to split hairs. But that's one of the things that I generally, it kind of, you know, they kind of mix pranayama with law of attraction. And so I don't get into it myself, but I like my friends, some of my friends are really into it. Dave from Evolution of Dave, he's into it. Chuck McGee, I think he practices that sometimes. I know some people who practice it. I'm not into it, but I don't think you have to be into everything. I've definitely gotten in. I've definitely researched it and I've practiced it, and you know, I think there's a lot of value to it, and I think it brings a lot of happiness and goodness to the world. So I'm for it, and so and you're absolutely right, Papa Geek. The soundtrack is amazing, right? The when it comes to Soma, Niraj he's an amazing musician, and I really like that aspect of Soma breath. So. Let's see. Does Wim only eat one vegetarian meal a day? So that's the report, right? Just one vegetarian meal a day. I've had the pleasure of breaking bread with Wim Hof, you know, quite a few times. I don't know if he only ate one meal that day, or you know, I don't know if it's that important. But the meals that I've eaten with Wim, he's been a vegetarian in those meals. I've never seen him eat meat before. I've been eating meat though in his presence. And he was cool with that. I mean, it wasn't like he was saying, "Oh, you're a bad person for eating meat." In fact, he asked if his dog could have the bones from the chicken bones, because we were having chicken legs. But you know, I think sometimes we get too focused on these details like that. And let me tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story to illustrate this point. And this comes back to my philosophy of breath work, of health, wellness, of life. Okay. So there were three monks. It's the story of the three monks. There were three monks, and they were sitting on the top of a mountain. And each of them had a different master that they were learning from. And one monk said, "My master is so powerful that he only eats one meal a day." The other two, oh, that's very interesting. The next one said, "My master is so powerful that he only eats one meal per week." Wow. The third monk said, "My master is so powerful that he eats anytime he wants. And I think or at least I hope, that illustrates the fact that sometimes we get a little too focused on sticking to this routine and we lose touch with the purpose behind it all. And so this, of course, comes, just kind of dovetails back into the language of breath. It is about more than just doing these things to get, if I follow these steps, it gets me here. It's about living in harmony with yourself and with your surroundings, with those you love. And that's the goal. That's the big goal. But that's a great question. Thank you, though, Stephen, for that question. Guys, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to say happy Friday to everybody. Rest in peace, Meatloaf. And guys, I will look forward to seeing you guys next week at the same time. I may have a guest next week. Maybe it'll be Tim Vanderfleet. I don't know. We'll see. Guys, thanks so much. Much love from the Midwest. And I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.